Welcome to another gorgeous day on planet Earth and another day of Dose of Did You Know, where inspiring, intriguing, unique individuals come to talk about love and life and how it got them to where they are today. With me are two very close to my heart, amazing, beautiful people, Dr. Angelo and Celia Rocco. How are you guys?
We're fine, thank you.
Ginger Peachy.
And if people do not know, these happen to be my in-laws. And yes, I do love my in-laws.
And we love our daughter-in-law.
But the reason I brought them here is they have this story. They are 95 and 93 years old. Dr. Angelo Rocco is a Korean War veteran and moved forward through his life, 6 children. They've been married 67 years, a doctor. He's now retired. They're both enjoying the life that they have built. But I want to hear about your love story, how you met, how courting through 14 months of his deployment in the Korean War, and you still love each other and are together to this day and have raised 6 beautiful children. I don't even know, I've lost the count of grandchildren that you've had, but we're going to talk about this. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, good. Celia, tell me the story about how you met when you lived in on the beach in Seabrook, New Hampshire.
Yeah, his parents rented the house next to ours. That was our other home. And she says to me, I have a nice son. I want you to meet my son. And I says, okay. So he was leaving for Korea. This was in Labor Day. He was leaving for Korea, just a few more days left. And so he came the next day and he had a friend with him. And he said to his friend, if I don't like her, you can have her. But he didn't give me away. And he left for Korea for 14 months, and we corresponded love letters.
And what was that like? Tell me about that. Did he just have you? Did he have someone else that he was going to pick between? Did you win his heart while he was in Korea?
Well, I think you had someone, right? But not until later.
Yeah. No,
No, he doesn't.
I had someone else I had to go see.
But Celia won his heart. What was that like? How long did it take you guys to get letters back and forth to each other?
I don't know, probably a couple of weeks. I knitted Argyle socks for him and sent him different packages. He'd ask me for a battery or whatever.
And you would send the package away with love to him. And
North Korea, yeah.
Yeah. And Dr. Angelo, what were you doing in Korea? Like, what was your job?
I was a battalion surgeon.
What does that mean?
What does it mean? I ran the first aid station. All of the enemy, when people that got wounded came, or if we were in reserve, they come into the first aid station to have any medical problems. So I took care of all the problems for the 1st Battalion.
Tell me these amazing stories about being like on the front lines. They would take these men to you, and sometimes you would see like 30 to 40 men a night. What was that like? Tell me about that.
Within an hour, ma'am.
Oh, within an hour. Sorry, not a night, an hour. Corrected. Tell me about that. What is that like?
Didn't have time to think about it. It was a triage. I had 2 or 3. I had 3 medical assistants, I think, in my tent, and I tell them what to do, and we'd figure out what to do with them.
And what is that? What do you mean you figured out what to do with them? What were your options?
We were a battalion station. We were right up on the front lines. So we had 3, 4 possibilities. We could send them back to the collecting station. From there, we could go to the clearing company, or we could go to the MASH hospital. So MASH hospital would be out of the division, and they were lost to us. So obviously the general didn't like, or the people didn't want that, because then they wouldn't have less men. But we did what we had to do.
Mm.
We'd patch them up so they wouldn't, if they were bleeding or they put a splint on, whatever had to be done, we did, and then sent them on to either the battalion, the collecting station, the second regimental headquarters was collecting station. The division headquarters was a clearing company, so that's where they sent them back, or one way or the other. They could stay there for a week or two. They had enough beds to keep them, and
Wow.
that's the way it was set up.
Okay.
They came with us to us in litters. There were no, you couldn't have a beat Jeep or anything because it was. They might have been able to get a Jeep part of the way, but we were right there in the front lines in the mountains, so it weren't easy.
No, not at all. Were you ever scared?
Didn't have time to get scared. Oh, one time I told my cousin I didn't know whether it was incoming or outgoing. When we were in the bunker, and we didn't have it. There wasn't any action. Then they were just lobbing artillery back and forth. And I say lobbing because you're on a mountain, and they have to put it up over and down. So it's not a straight shot. But I usually can tell whether it's coming in or going out. And I apparently I told him, I sent him a letter one time, and I said, I can't tell whether it's coming in or going out.
So that was a moment. When you wrote letters to Celia, did you talk about what you were doing and what you saw?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
He told me some, but
no, I never told anybody the gory.
That was all secret stuff.
It wasn't secret. It was just gory.
We had other things to talk about. And he's telling me, and
what were some of the things that, if you can share, if they're not too private, what were some of the things that you would write back and forth in your letters?
Well, if I know we were going to be on here, I would have. I have all my letters saved. I still have them at home.
Oh,
and we'll have to look at them and read them sometime.
That would be amazing. We definitely have to do that and read it sometime. So how did you know, either one of you can answer this, how did you know that this was the person that I was going to spend into my 90s and hundreds with? How did you know that? Was there a moment in time that you remember thinking, like, I love this man?
It felt right. It just felt right that we were.
I was 20. I was 27. She was 25 when we got married, so we knew what we wanted.
Yeah, so that would have been a year. Yeah, you would have been 24 and 26. 24. And then we get married. He came back in November, and we got engaged in November. Then when he saw me, he said, I knew that I wanted you. So we went looking for our rings and stuff, and we set the date for April, and he was still in the service. And then we got married in April, and then we had to go to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and we were there for 2 months, and he was discharged in July.
Mm.
At the time he got battles. He had 4 battle medals.
That is because he's, quite the man. Dr. Rocco, tell us the story about, because I love this story, about you and the chaplain and the parachute.
Yeah. Well, you know, they had nylon. Nylon at that time was rare. And so our flares were shot came down on nylon parachutes. And so there was a 4 or 5 people got hit in a trench the night before. And so the chaplain came up and said, you know, I want to get one of those nylon parachutes for my wife. I said, all right, I know where they come down, so let's go up there. We went up into the, I had access to a Jeep, so we took a Jeep, and I had a driver, I didn't drive it. I wasn't allowed to. Except once in a while when the kids got in trouble, I'd drive it for them. The trucks, I did. At any rate, we went up there. We got into the trench, and they started shooting at us. And I said to the chaplain, we got to get out of here. Let's get out of here fast. So we did, and we went back without the nylon.
But you did come back with something. Didn't you get shot that day?
We came back with a bruise, with a wound.
With a wound. And what did you say? Because you are the doctor. You're the one that has to report all of those injuries. What did you do?
I just patched it up and said nothing.
I guess that's what you do. You get shot.
Yeah. I knew better. I knew they were gonna. I knew that's where all the boys were coming from the night before. See, they go out on patrol every night, unless they're actually going to take a hill. They go up there and they go on patrol, and occasionally they came back. They kind of come back whether they were shot up. Mm-hmm. But when you had an assault, then you got 30, 40 people in an hour in an assault, when you assault a mountain.
Yeah. Tell me, I remember you talking about how you would build these tents, and they were like mud floors, and this is where you took care of everybody that was taken off those front lines and then brought to you. Didn't you make a certain floor? What was it like in there? And I know you instead of being in the mud, you had them put crates or something down, right?
Yeah. Well, the artillery shells came over there in wooden crates. So I knew where they were. And so we made a midnight requisition, so-called. We went over and got the boxes as the shells came in. And no, I was a captain. Nobody could say anything. So we got our Jeep, went over and got the boxes, and we took them apart and we put them on the floor. This is when we had a bunker. We had our first aid station was in the side of the hill, and had been already dug out. Had been undug out. We inherited it, and so we put a wooden floor on. It's a lot better than mud.
Yeah, and a lot more sanitized, right? Like healing up all these people with a wood floor. A crate floor is much better than a mud floor.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah. Celia, were you ever worried about him? Were you scared for him? Did you ever tell him if you were?
I guess I probably didn't realize how bad it was. I was worried, and because when he proposed to me, he says, and I'd like to have 6 children. I says, okay, I'm stupid. I didn't know the difference. I says, okay. So then I had a miss in between, and he said, "Oh, you've had enough." And I said, "No, you wanted 6. We'll just keep going." But once I had 5 boys, so I was very concerned about them going into the service. I don't know how mothers can take it. It's just horrible. Worry, and the only one Gregory had to sign a paper if he had to go in, but he didn't have to. So very
Yeah, in
lucky.
those days we had, what do we call
But it is a concern for mothers, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that, because it is a little different when you were young, and so you were just in love, and maybe you didn't really realize what he was doing. So it was a little different.
Yeah, that's right. We
Yeah.
were in love, and all we wanted was each other, and that's all we still want.
Has it changed?
It hasn't changed. But, I never asked you this question, Dr. Rocco. Why did you join the service? Because you had gone through medical school, you had gone to your residence.
Either volunteered or they were going to
take you.
Yeah, what do we call it? Get drafted. We had to draft then.
Yeah,
and I fell into the draft. I went in to the armory and took a physical, and I was, they put me down as 4F because I had flat feet. I wasn't going to be able to walk 25 miles with a bag on my back, but they had ulterior motives. They wanted me. I was in college then. I was supposed to take an organic chemistry class that morning when I went for my physical. But at any rate, so I went there for the physical and I didn't pass. Can you believe that?
No.
And I'm a hiker.
I know you hike mountains and canyons and.
Well, I think they had the ulterior motive. They wanted a physician, and they didn't have to pay for them. Schools on my own. I got a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and my medical degree, and went to internship. And as soon as I got my license, okay, you're ready to go. So
they had their eye on you.
Absolutely, they did. And I went down Fort Campbell, down at Fort Sam Houston for the orientation, and we had regular basic training.
Mm-hmm.
We went out in the woods. They gave us a compass. We went out in the woods at night, and they say, "Okay, find yourself back, way back." We had regular. Oh, we had to walk underneath the machine gun fire. We had to go through a wire fence, barbed wire fence. So we were well trained.
Mm-hmm.
We studied some of the diseases they had over there. But a few new ones popped up. There was one that was called hemorrhagic fever, and came up there. That was a new one. So I was there. I don't know. It was 3 months.
Yeah, you had to take shots.
Yeah, but it was a 3 month course. I don't know how long it was actually, but they got it done fast. And then they rented airplanes, so we all flew back. We flew over. We went from camp. I was in Camp Stone. I went up from Fort Houston. It wasn't Sam Houston. It was maybe
Texas. Yeah.
But anyway, I went home for a day or two, and then I went to Camp Stoneman in California, and we flew out of there, and we went to Hawaii, Wake Island, and then Yokohama.
Do you think it's interesting that they flew you out there, but then when you came back home, you came home on a ship that took weeks?
Slow boat from China. Yeah, that's the difference. Well, they were waiting for me.
So they wanted you there in a rush, and it didn't matter though when you came back.
Yeah, there were a lot of casualties that I had to put a tag on. I have to be tagged by a medical doctor. Excuse me. Yeah, the medics had to put a tag on, and the fellow that was ahead of me, his time was up, but he wasn't going to stay an extra day for me to appear. I don't know, it was a problem. So they had 17 casualties that needed to be tagged. And so that's what I did.
But you said like those 17 casualties, they were waiting for you for days in the heat.
They weren't, the people were waiting, the patients were, they were dead. They were dead for a while, and they were been sitting in the sun. It was July. When was it? No, July, August, September. It was a latter part of September or October.
So that is a very big welcome to
yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way.
At least they gave you a good welcome.
Yeah. It wasn't a welcome, dear. I didn't consider it welcome.
No, I know.
It was a big reality. It was a big reality of what was.
I had worked in an emergency room for a year during my internship. I volunteered for the emergency room. So I had 3 months in surgery, 3 months in medicine, 3 months in obstetrics, and the rest of the time I spent in the emergency room. But I had to work nights. My night call was in the emergency room.
You know, I was just thinking as I'm listening to you talk and knowing what you've seen and what you've gone through over there and just your whole life and medicine in general, what do you think it is that makes it that you can handle things so scientifically and it doesn't affect you emotionally? And then some people, they have, post PTSD, things like that. What do you think? Why is that, do you think?
I guess you have to detach yourself from the actual situation. Mm-hmm. You put yourself in, what am I doing here? What do I have to do? It's the same thing driving a car. If you're going to get into an accident, you got to contemplate it fast and make and I was an anesthesiologist. So I was no anesthesiologist afterwards, but you have to act in a fraction of a second. And so I was used to that.
How did you detach yourself and be so loving and caring and this romantic husband? Or Celia, did you see a difference in his work and how he was at home with you?
Well, I even see it now. He's very caring. And he wants to always help. I mean, the children will tell you that, yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't, you do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, it
doesn't raise his voice or anything. He's a good husband and a good father.
And I was a good doctor.
And a good doctor. Oh, yeah.
That is the truth. So my last question for the two of you, and you each have to answer it individually. In this moment right now, what does love mean to you?
Means everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be lost without one another.
Yeah.
We have.
I say I hope we go together. I want to be separated.
No.
She's getting emotional.
Yeah, well, because it is love and you've had a wonderful life and this is something that now is shared with the world. I can see all the comments of people coming in. You can't see it on your end, but I can see it. And they are so thankful for sharing your love story and they love how sweet you are, Celia, and the strength of you, Dr. Rocco. So thank you for sharing with the world the heart and soul in your life. It has really made a difference for everybody that is watching. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to everybody else out there, remember as always, love hard, love pure, and love proactive. Until next time, we will see you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.